Welcome to the May 6, 2020 of the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of the Harlem, New York-based diversity recruitment firm, East Coast Executives. I'm excited today about this topic. Yes, I lead my own recruitment firm, but I'm also interested in turning my passion into profit. In synergy with my work at East Coast Executives, I'm the diversity staffing consultant for the New York Urban League. I facilitate job readiness workshops at the Google Learning Center here in Manhattan. I'm a Forbes career coach and a video resume reviewer for the Indeed.com website. I'm host of the Career Seekers radio show, which airs Wednesday on 106.5 FM in Philly. On one level or another, all of these ventures have benefited from knowledge imparted on me by today's guest, Gina B. Ramcharan, Chief Idea Curator of Idea Manufacturer. Idea Manufacturer is an award-winning boutique business consultancy located in the historic village of Harlem. Idea Manufacturer services small and mid-sized businesses with an emphasis on women and Black-owned entities. Upon graduating from Syracuse University, she set her sights on becoming a ready-to-wear buyer, but fate detoured her plan when she found herself in the gold jewelry buying office at Tiffany & Company. Gina often jokes about tripping into her next career, and that is exactly what happened when she went to help a friend's small business while taking a break from corporate. At her friend's suggestion that she help more businesses like her own, Idea Manufacturer was born. This was 7 years ago, and hundreds of small business stories later. Idea Manufacturer was tapped to put the architecture around and implement the Lillian Project, New York City's only business incubator for African-American women. Without further ado, I am extremely excited to introduce our guest today, Gina B. Ramcharan. Gina, what's good?
Everything. Thank you for that great introduction.
Great people deserve great introductions.
You are. I'm excited to be here today, and I want to thank everyone for hanging out with me on this webinar, Turning Our Passion into Profit. I'll tell you a little bit more about Idea Manufacturer. We are a relaxed brand, but we take business very seriously. We have 4 main pillars of business. Business events. With business events, we plan, design, and implement fundraisers, workshops, conferences. We also offer strategic maneuvers. Strategic maneuvers, we provide an overarching strategy for mature businesses, and we underscore that by providing project management. Business management. This is one of my favorites and great cocktail story because it was born for creatives. Okay. Those folks that want to continue to do what they love to do and not follow up on paying bills, doing the administrative side. So we take care of that for them. If you've joined us today, well, this last pillar of business is for you. Square one is where it all begins. If you want to put your ideas into action, this is where it starts. At square one, we work together to put your plan on paper, and this becomes your map to launch. Next slide, please. The information I will share with you today is for both emerging entrepreneurs and side hustlers who either want to supplement their primary income or build that bridge to full-time entrepreneurship. For both groups, I want you to understand, business is not synonymous with hobby. Next slide, please. So, I'm sure you've heard things like, follow your passion. Turn your passion into a job and the money will follow. And one of my favorites, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I want to gently break this to you. Turning your favorite hobby into a moneymaker might seem like a good plan, but very often it's a horrible mistake. Now let me clarify a bit. Next slide, please. So without breaking your heart, I want you to understand, when you turn your hobby into a business, it becomes work, and you might run the risk of falling out of love. The one thing that you enjoy, whether it's knitting, working on cars, baking, writing, when it becomes work and it needs to pay the bills, it is no longer your happy place, the place to escape. Next slide, please. So, if you still want to follow your passion, don't let your passion guide you. You have to guide it. If you can keep it in check, know why you are pursuing the type of business you want to go after, you'll be okay. Set your expectations with clear and professional direction. And now that we have some clarity about turning our passion into profit, let's talk about the number one obstacle that faces most entrepreneurs. I bet that a lot of you are thinking, it's money, it's time. Nope, it's the person that you look at in the mirror every morning. It's you, it's me, it's all of us. Now, I'm not saying that we need to be perfect, not by any shape or form, but we do need to know ourselves. We need to know our strengths and weaknesses. And once we live in our truth, then we can balance that with the necessary people or tools.
So, AG, no,
Yeah.
so you just spoke about tools. So in knowing thyself, is there a self-assessment for business, for people that have an interest in business? Like, are there any tools out there that you're aware of that maybe kind of give you an indication of if this is right for you? Not to say that you have to abide by them, but it's kind of good to know, right?
Absolutely, without a doubt. And there are surveys, there are business coaches. I'm not a coach, I'm a consultant, but there are business coaches that can definitely help you sharpen your business identity, your self-business identity.
Got it.
So know thyself, commandment and rule number one. Do you have the stamina to run a business? Think of it like having a baby, and you need to be with it all day. Are you up for the challenge? Are you in good health? That's key. Can you go the distance? Are you great at delegating? Something a lot of entrepreneurs do is they hold everything close to the vest. It's their baby, it's their money and their investment, it's their dream. But in order to make a business scale, we have to learn to let go and we have to delegate. When people that work with idea manufacture know this, because when we bake that into your business plan, it may not be in year one when you're still the cook, the baker, the candlestick maker, but perhaps in year 2 or 3, in your plan, we put in positions so that you can pass the responsibility baton. Are you industry proficient? Often when we want to take a step toward entrepreneurship, we think we know everything, and we base that on what we like. But what you really need to know is what the industry is really like. So let's take an investment banker. They probably have deep pockets and want to go into the restaurant industry, consider themselves professional foodies. It's not going to work. You need to know the industry. You need to research it inside and out. All the money in the world is not going to save you if you don't have the right knowledge base. How's your time management? Even, I'll share this with you. Personally, mine is getting better. Still trying to sharpen that because it's key to having a successful business. You have to be able to juggle your time efficiently. And if you're still working full-time, you also need to be dedicated to carving out time to dedicate to building your business.
So for you, what's been the secret to kind of improving on the time management side? Is there anything that happened in your world that made it a little better?
Scheduling.
Okay.
Actually writing things down. I use a planner that actually has a slot for how long a task should take. So it's really been very helpful.
Okay. So now you mean really writing things down, or do you have some type of software interface that you use?
I'm old school. I write because writing is retention.
Okay. We just entered a polling question onto the actual platform, and it's basically, what is your current entrepreneurial status? So I'm going to let you go, but when we get the responses back, I'll share that information with the audience and yourself.
Fantastic.
All right.
Support. Do you have the right safety net? And that's extremely important because the entrepreneurial road is a lonely one to travel. If you're a parent, do you have a partner or backup that will help? It's imperative to have a good support team, friends and family. It sounds trivial, but maybe even someone that can help you with your own meal planning. Extremely important. The safety net is real. Your financials. How deep are your pockets? You need to have two very separate pools of money when you want to step into the entrepreneurial pool. One is you need to be able to live, so you need money to maintain your lifestyle. And I would say to at least stock away 18 months until you can actually pull a salary from your business and live off of that business.
All right, that's great advice, because 37% of the audience says that they are interested in being an entrepreneur, but they're unsure of where to start. And that was followed by 23% of the people saying that they're an entrepreneur currently running a business. And then after that, it kind of dipped into entrepreneur, but I am not currently running a business. And then the last, I guess the least amount of people in a range on this particular webinar answered that they, let me see here, I'm just trying to check through. They're an entrepreneur, yeah, but they're currently not running a business. So we got some people with side hustles as well. 23% of the audience said that they have a side hustle.
That's fantastic. Side hustling, we have to have diverse streams of income. So side hustling is definitely the way to go also. So back to your financials, that second pool is the money saved to start your business. One of the top 3 reasons that businesses fail is because they're underfunded. Think about collateral that you might need for a loan. Know what your credit status looks like, because while you're building the business, you're also going to be building your business credit. And in the meantime, everything is about your personal status in the beginning. Now, stay with me, because I don't want a lot of you to say, I don't have the money to start a business. What you do have, God willing, is time. So while we don't want you to have a money gap, which is why I'm sharing this with you, you just might have a time gap. That's all. So don't fret. We got you. Next slide, please. So what's your big idea? I would love for some of you to share that with us today, because at the end of this presentation, I would like to hear about them. The world is, obviously, it's falling apart, but it's a great time to look for opportunity. So fill in the cracks around you and create opportunity in the new normal. Next slide, please. Yes.
So I know that you're a big believer that some of our most innovative businesses start when there is economic uncertainty.
Absolutely. There's tons of research, and if you follow our social media, we've been highlighting businesses that we call recession born, and there are a lot of brand names that you know. Airbnb is one.
Any others?
Pinterest.
Okay.
Is another one.
So Gina, so I guess if we're looking back, did they start during the 08-09 downturn in the economy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In the last big recession.
Gotcha.
Yep. So this slide, we're going to talk about ideas versus opportunities. And one of those other things I want to share is, here's a little secret. There really are no new ideas. Really, there aren't. What we have in the 21st century is a lot of technology. So if you think about when you used back in the olden days, when you would pick up the phone, call a cab, you gave them your address, they asked where you were going, you gave them the destination, they gave you a quote, you confirmed your ride. Excuse me. It's what we know as Uber today. Uber infused technology into an old business model. That's all. They found opportunity. I have a lot of people around me that say, oh my goodness, if I could just sell my ideas. I have so many ideas, I can't contain them, and I just want to sell them. I don't even want to pursue them. I have news for you. If that's the case, an idea is worth zero until it becomes an action. Again, find opportunity. And business is about solving problems. I feel like Lou Rawls in the 70s Grammys, and all of a sudden he caught a cough. And this is a tickle. Make sure your business goal is something that you're good at and that you can stick with.
So hey, if you don't mind, let's bounce back to solving a problem. Tell me exactly what you mean by that.
So for instance, my company was born to create a platform or consulting that made it accessible for small businesses to hire a consultant.
Okay.
A lot of people think consulting, they think of large firms like McKinsey. We're here, feet on the street, and the other items that we look like a lot of our clients.
Gotcha.
So that's helpful.
Yeah, you know, as I looked for individuals to support kind of and unpackage some of the ideas that I had, it was kind of difficult at that time to find people that looked a lot like me in the space. So I can appreciate how that may make it a little easier for people to come to your platform and to get your support.
Absolutely. And again, we service everyone, but our specialty are African Americans and women. So what's in this profit mix? Because some of you might be thinking, yeah, I came here to learn about profit. But before you can get to the profit stage, you have to have all of these ingredients in your profit mix. Again, research your industry, know it inside and out. If it's something new and different than what you do today, study. And even when you are using your career as a springboard for something you want to do, make sure that you understand all of the network in the company that you currently work for. Define your target market. I had a client, she was making a product. Who's your target market? Black women. I think that day I learned that we must all be the same. Not.
So people have to keep drilling down on it.
You have to keep drilling down. And we teach you to start off with what we call your primary market, your secondary, and then perhaps there might be a tertiary market for you. But you have to keep narrowing down, because the idea of calling it a target is just that. You want to hit that target in the bullseye. And if you think about what a target looks like, if you can hit it in the bullseye, all those other rings, you can start to bring into your orbit as part of your target market. Again, okay. Hence that secondary and tertiary segment.
You know, I'm thinking that some of that may even lead to identifying some other streams that kind of are tentacles to your main silo of business, right?
Without a doubt.
Gotcha.
So that brings us to, it's a great segue to channels of business. Even a mental health provider that I worked with, she wanted to bring her services to people one-on-one, as well as in group workshops. And I said, a lot of people from 9 to 5 are losing their minds at work. Why don't you bring what you do to corporations? She wasn't thinking about a business to business channel. Guess what her first super paying big gig was?
Talk to me.
Corporate. She just has one hell of a business consultant. So think about your channels of business. The other important reason to have channels of business is that if one goes soft, you have something else to rely on. Know your competition. Another favorite of mine. I don't have any competition. I make the best cupcakes. You have competition. Get real, find out who they are. There are two types even. You have direct and you have indirect competition. Direct are people on your same level. Indirect are the larger players. And don't have fear of the larger players. Know your story of David and Goliath. You can be a lot more successful than a larger brand. And why? Because you are more nimble as a small business. But definitely get to know your competition. I have some folks that are even like, I'm an artisan, I make the best soap, and I do pop-ups. That's great. But at that pop-up, there's someone else that's probably touting the key ingredients, which are very similar to yours, in their product line. So get to know your competition and find out what their strengths and weaknesses are. UVP, well, that's your unique value position. Because again, since there are no new ideas, you need to find out what your value position is so that you stand out in the crowd. You need to be heard. You need to be seen. So this is where you bring newness, again, i.e. our Uber example, to an old idea. What value are you bringing to the table? Costing. One of the things that breaks my heart when I work with someone who's stepped out and invested in a business is to find out that they have not done proper cost analysis and have eroded their profitability. We can fix it though. You need to know your proper costing, your matrix, and how much you should be marking products and services, how much you should mark them up. Very, very important. It's important to build your supply chain as we are learning in the new normal. And I've been saying that for a long time. And build a solid supply chain. Don't just build one vendor base. Build up multiples. Always have kind of your side chick of vendors. Oh, it's true.
A side chick of vendors. Okay.
It's your side chick of vendors.
So listen, when I see cost and price, and then I know you're going to go into forecasting, I'm thinking I need an accountant.
You do.
Okay.
Well, costing and pricing, that's really you. Your accountant is probably not going to be able to help you with that. Right. But you will need an accountant to double check to make sure that you are keeping your financial records straight. And that you don't have any leaks in your business.
Okay.
So that's important. So forecasting is definitely, so once we start to roll up all of these things, we start to measure how much revenue can we bring in a year, in year 2, and in year 3. And that should be an ongoing forecast. Something that a lot of people currently in business do not do is they may have written a business plan, they knew what their revenue goal was, they know if they hit it or if they didn't, or they exceeded it, and then they just keep going from there. Forecasting is action. You should always be reforecasting your business. If you're a small business, maybe quarterly. If your business has serious traction, definitely monthly. When you get into the $1 billion range, it's usually weekly.
Is that because you really don't know until you kind of get in?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. You have to you'll start creating your trend, and then you have something to look at. In the beginning, we call it guesstimating.
Guesstimating. Gotcha.
It's what you want to do. And often, when in a very positive environment, that guesstimate may have said that your revenue for the first quarter was going to be 100,000, but you've made 200. It probably means that you left some money on the table. So that's another reason why it's important to forecast. Forecasting is not a dirty word. And marketing. Well, going back to that target market, you need to know how you're going to reach your customer, what vehicles you want to use to reach your consumer. Once you know those vehicles, how are you going to get heard? How are you going to be seen? And it's a very, very noisy world out there. Even if you had the money and investment to do commercials, there are a million commercials. A lot of the time, we can remember the commercial, but we can't even remember the product. We have to get very, very creative when it comes to marketing.
Are there any brands that you believe do an extremely good job, smaller brands that do a really good job of marketing, whether it be social media marketing, traditional marketing, just any type of marketing? Is there anybody that you say, hey, kind of watch what they do because they're doing a good job of it?
I think, well, Fashion Nova is not so tiny anymore, but when they first stepped out, they were intimate with their consumers. You felt like you knew the brand.
Okay.
And then they're using influencers was smart, and the types of influencers that they use. They definitely used influencers that were very familiar to their target market. So they did a great job. But, you know, in pre-COVID, someone else I want to call out, you know, it's kind of almost guerrilla marketing, which is definitely where we get creative, and has launched, you know, using guerrilla marketing tactics, meaning non-traditional marketing, has definitely launched a lot of shifts. And one of my favorites, born right here in Harlem, Shea Moisture. Okay. That was sold on the street, vending on the street here in Harlem. So don't think that, you know, these little steps can become giant leaps. Keep that in mind.
Great.
Next slide, please. So once you put together all of these key ingredients in for your profitability recipe, it's time to write it down. It's time to build a solid business plan. Now, some people have the mindset that business plans are obsolete, and I strongly disagree. It's very wrong, bad thinking. And there are different types of business plans. Most people use the lean model. Now, writing a business plan reminds me of the GPS you use in a car. You get in the car, you set the GPS with where you want to go. Your business plan is the direction where you want to go. But if you have a misstep, you've been singing too much, you've been talking too much in the car, and you missed your turn, you hear recalculating. Writing a business plan is very similar, because if you have a misstep or something changes in the mix, you have a place from which to pivot. You don't have to go back to the drawing board and start from square one. So it's important. And remember, a business plan is a living, breathing document. It should be updated annually. It does not become stagnant. It's not that I wrote it and it's done. It's your map, and it's an ongoing map to follow.
I think that's one of the challenges, Gina. People coming into their business, they create a business plan, and then they just never revisit it. And it's like, you know, things change in your industry, things changed in technology, and you may be able to kind of pull some of that into revising your business plan and allowing you to be more efficient and more profitable. But people just kind of sit that document in a file somewhere and never bring it back out.
Oh, my favorite, Ken, is, you know, we build business plans in a multitude of ways. Either we do it directly, we write the plan for someone, or we work alongside while someone's writing their plan. But my favorite is people pay us a nice chunk of change to write their business plans and never follow them. So you've already made an investment. You think you might want to use it. I agree. I'm amazed that people just put them down.
You know what? I'm going to jump in here real quick, because we do have a question that's relevant to this subject. What resources are out there to help build a business plan?
There are tons of resources online. There is, of course, we're here to help. There's something called B Plans. It's the letter B, plans.com, that has great resources for helping you build your business plan.
Excellent. bplans.com.
Yeah, and ideamanufacture.com is even better. No, shameless plug.
I'm familiar with their work. They are pretty good.
Thank you. So I hope that I have not struck the fear. Next slide, please. I hope that I have not struck the fear of God into anyone, but entrepreneurship is definitely not for the faint of heart. And for people that truly, I call it side hustling on steroids, because when we work with side hustlers, we are going quickly. We are grinding. It's not a hobby, it's a business. So, but don't worry, we got you, because we have a lot of tools that will help eliminate that fear. We make it easy. Like I said in the beginning, we're a very relaxed brand, but we take business seriously. We also, one of the things that I like to, that we get a lot of accolades about, is really making business planning, taking it and making it bite-sized morsels, which are easy to digest. So today we have, X amount of time to share a lot of information, but it is digestible. If you take it in small chunks. We got you. Next slide, please. If you're still interested in getting started and squeezing out some profit, that used to be one of my favorite things. Squeeze the profit.
I don't want to squeeze it out. I want the profit to ooze out.
Well, we'll get there, but first you're gonna have to squeeze it out, and then it'll ooze. So join us on Sunday, May 17 at 3 p.m. We're going to take our workshop, Idea Shop, and bring it online. And that is it's a starting place. In Idea Shop, we've built a workshop that helps to break down your ideas into smaller pieces and put them back together again. And it starts you off to build those tools to write your business plan. It's kind of a step back, and that Idea Shop was designed because after we would start to sit down to work on business plans, and we noticed a lot of our clients hadn't thought through a lot of the steps before, so it would halt the process. This will help you jump in and not head first. So for more information, hit us up at ideamanufacturer.com, click on contacts, share your info, and here's a little gift. In the message box, put in NYUL, like New York Urban League, and we will send you a discount code so you can join us at Idea Shop, where we can continue to steer you toward profit. I want to thank everyone who hung out today. Next slide, please. I want to thank everyone who hung out today, and I hope that it was helpful. I'm getting ready to take questions, but in the meantime, I'd like you to stay connected. So visit us, get more acquainted via Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or all three. Don't be shy. Ken?
Yeah, so I'm just looking through some of the questions in the chat here. Great information. You know what? I want to lean in on this real quick. So we have a question. Well, it's not even a question. It's a comment. This person, and this goes back to when we spoke about time management. They say they're reading an amazing time management book called The Discipline of Now: 12 Practical Principles to Overcome Procrastination. So I know you said you're using a planner or a scheduler to kind of keep you on focus. Are there any books or reading materials that have helped you kind of with just kind of crafting out your business that you want to share with the audience?
I personally don't have any to share that I've done. I just use this planner, and the planner had a great things to do sheet that really helps prioritize and keep me on schedule.
Well, not necessarily your particular book, but if you've read a book that you thought was helpful to business owners or to entrepreneurs looking to kind of expand.
I haven't read anything recently.
Okay.
But I will say that the roots of my time management started back in my career, and I had a manager that insisted on things being done on deadline.
All right, I got another question here.
Yes.
So what is your motto on listening to advice, suggestions of friends? When do you tune in? When do you tune out? It can be overwhelming and cause self-doubt at times. What do you have to say about that?
So be careful where you take your advice from. The majority of folks are not entrepreneurs, and a lot of people will create a pool of self-doubt for you. Be careful where you take it from. Now, that's a balancing act. It's usually best to take advice from someone who has walked that trail already, someone who can share experience, the good and the bad. If you have a friend that has what my grandmother used to call mother wit, who just hits that nail on the head, go for it. But you have to make the final decision, and you have to do what feels right to you.
Got it. You know, this is probably a good time. We're going to share a link to an actual survey that a partner is doing, but it's basically just about kind of mapping out your career journey and sharing your career journey as an African-American entrepreneur. And it kind of maps it out against other races and other ethnic groups. And, you know, the results are going to be really interesting, because sometimes as African-American and or Black business owners, as you may, sometimes we have some hurdles in the path that other people don't necessarily have to deal with. Can you speak to that and how you kind of help people navigate some of that stuff?
Wow, that's a good one. In some research, one of the things that we don't have to our advantage often is other ethnic groups. A lot of people are like, well, you've been here, you're a native born African-American person. Why isn't your business here? And this person is first or second generation, and look at all the money they're making. One of those things is that a lot of our own people, they have their own network of employees when they start. Whether it's a family business, whether it's the cousin who's that's just immigrated to the country and needs a job. And that's an advantage that outside folks have. If you think about the fact that we are underpaid, it makes it a little harder for us to build those coffers to start a business. There are tons of variables, but they're not insurmountable.
Gotcha. No, what your sound shifted a little. I don't know if something's sitting over the mic or what, but okay. All right. Another question. Would you recommend going to the SBA to help get started and working out a new invention from scratch?
The SBA is primarily there. They have counselors that will give guidance. They will help you with financing. When you need to bring an invention to market, you should research a company that can help you do that.
Gotcha.
That's not really what the SBA, and they might be able to point you toward a company, but you should probably research on your own.
Okay, excellent. I'm thinking this is a direct question for you. So have you overcome negative institutional obstacles?
Like institutional racism?
Yeah, I would imagine that's where we're headed, right?
I think so. I ignore a lot of things that are put in the middle of the path or kick them to the side and keep it moving. It's people, often I say to folks, when we enter a room, whether you are there for a loan, whether you are there as a guest speaker, whether you are there to pitch, very often our audience has already started thinking it was with a negative. Our job is to prove them wrong.
Gotcha.
And our history shows that we can.
All right, great. So I want to go back to this because I have a question. I have someone here on the line, and they're saying on the website, can you give your web address again and where to go to sign up for the event on May 17th?
Idea Manufacturer, IDEA, MANUF like Frank, ACTURER.com.
All right, great. No,
and at the top bar, you'll see contacts.
I see that Theveline put the slide back up, so that's great. Yes. Thank you so very much for that. All right, great. Let's see here. Man, we have a ton of questions. I'm just bouncing in and out, right? So We have some, you know what, this is going to be interesting too. So we have someone that commented, they're listening to a great podcast for entrepreneurs called The 30-Minute Hour. Do you have any favorite podcasts or any podcasts that you recommend for people that are venturing out on this entrepreneurship journey?
I hope I get the title correct. It's How They Did That.
How They Did That.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's a podcast. So
Mm-hmm.
probably found on any place that you would find podcasts. Okay, great. What makes you, why do you like that one?
Just tells the stories of how things started. And they're, again, entrepreneurship it's not for the faint of heart. So a lot of times when we're reading things or you're reading an article and it's all about the flowery side, and this one started with $5 in their pocket and now it's $1 billion company. But on that, they get in the dirt.
Great.
So, and it also it leaves you less lonely. You're like, okay, that's not just happening to me, it happened to this person also. One of my other favorite topics I love to talk about along those lines, Ken, failure. Don't, just because you made a misstep doesn't mean that you have to leave the party. Gotcha.
So I'm gonna repeat some of your answers through our conversation because your sound's a little muffled. So I'm getting people that are asking me about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But much better, whatever happened, right? So how many attempts? So people have real interest in your business here. They want to know, let's see. Oh, well, this is another question just in general. How many attempts do you make to kickstart a business before your actual business got traction?
This is Idea Manufacturing is not my first business. Before I even answer that, I want to be clear. I want people to go to contacts and leave their information. You're not signing up for the event. How many times? Let's see. I had a boutique for 4.5 years. I had an online business. And one of the reasons that I kept stepping away from my business, that was early on and many years ago. And this one I've stuck with for 7 years. So there were quite a few attempts to get jump started. And it's, again, I can't even tell you how many times I've been tempted to go back to my former life, but I'm dedicated here.
Gotcha. All right. So that's three businesses that it wasn't that they weren't successful. It's just that you ended up where you're at now.
Yes.
There you go. All right, great. So I have another question from someone that's dear to the DCSS platform. Great webinar. Love the information. As a person who has a side hustle for quite a while, I am definitely enjoying content. You mentioned pricing. What are some tactics for determining good pricing when you are an entrepreneur, just starting out, right? How do you convince people to work with you even though you may not be as seasoned as your competitors?
So I take it that this is not a tangible product. It's time.
Let's go in that direction.
I'm gonna guess that it's a service-oriented endeavor. Here's what I suggest. When I started Idea Manufacturer, I did a lot of things for free that helped to build my business and my narrative. Sometimes you have to do that, or I discounted the price in the beginning. I also let people know if that's the route you're going to take, make sure that your client understands the value and what they're getting you for. Don't start off by saying my price is this, because people will try to pigeonhole you and keep you there. If you're giving $5,000 worth of services, write an invoice for $5,000 worth of services, and then take the discount off of that so they understand the value of your time and your service.
Great. All right. So also another question about Idea Manufacturer here. Is this a solo endeavor or do you have partners? If you have partners, how did you go about selecting them?
So I'm a solopreneur. I would love to scale. I may be hiring soon. But I do have partners. I love the gig economy. So depending on a project, and it helps me and it helps my company financially that we're not carrying the load of salaries. full-time, but we do have that load part-time. We have people who do our graphics, writers, people that assist with workshops, people that design workshops for us, and the such. So
Gotcha.
we're kind of the nucleus, and then we have our tentacles in other businesses. We partner with a lot of people, but we vet our partners.
No, that brings me to a good point. So, when you attend some of these small business workshops or now webinars, you hear people speak about utilizing services like Fiverr and things like that to kind of farm out some of the administrative stuff, or even just some of the technical aspects of being an entrepreneur. Do you recommend that?
Absolutely. I do it all the time. I have someone locally that helps with graphics that we work together on a lot of our campaigns. And then I have someone in Pakistan that also does a lot of that work via Fiverr.
Okay. You actually use Fiverr to identify that person?
I do.
Wow.
Yes.
Great.
Yes, and there are tons of networks out there. Upwork is another one that we utilize for web maintenance and things like that.
Upwork.
Yeah, but when it comes to other partners, and I think that person might have been talking about, like we have, we forge partnerships with other companies, and we forge partnerships with other small businesses. But they need to be in line with our values and our core.
We have someone that wants you to expand on what exactly guerrilla marketing is.
Getting crazy with it. An early version of guerrilla marketing might have been someone who is selling chicken wings and putting on a chicken suit and getting out there and riding the subway giving out chicken. Like that would have been guerrilla marketing.
I'm sorry.
But you know what? If those wings were everything, if that unique value position showed up in that recipe, believe it or not, people want to know where they will remember. They'll remember that crazy chicken. They'll remember how good those wings were. Of course, you're not just going to give out wings, you're going to give out information with it. But you will build a customer base, and also, even more important, you will create chatter.
Right. So get on the subway and hand out chicken wings.
Well, not today, but that was an example yesterday.
Not today yet. All right. So, G, real quick, do you recommend getting a business law certificate?
Not necessarily. No.
Okay. Your sound just came back. That's beautiful.
Okay.
Let's see. Is there any other thing? Is there a certificate that maybe you would consider someone securing prior to starting their business? Or do you just say the certificate is the work?
The certificate is the work. Absolutely. Now, of course, there are, if you take a course and at the end of that course, there's a certificate, kudos to you. But I like that, Ken. Yes, the certificate is the work.
Sure. So of course, and now, there's a lot of stuff available online, right? So many platforms that are offering some type of business learning as a resource. And yeah, you can get a certificate, but more importantly, you're getting the knowledge, right?
Yes.
Great.
That's what you want.
That's exactly what you want. All right. I'm just looking. Oh, okay. So you know what? Your website is up here. ideamanufacturer.com, correct?
Yes.
All right.
There's something else I wanna share, Ken.
Let's do it.
When it comes to certificates, even when we work with clients, whether it's our workshops, whether it's the incubator that we do with the Harlem Business Alliance, it's great. But every business, it's wonderful to be in a classroom setting, but your business is your business. It's individualized. There's broad stroke learning, what I call best practices. So getting certificate is great, but you still need that industry knowledge. That's key.
Gotcha.
Right? So the best practices support the core part of your business.
Excellent. So, and this was early in our discussion today, but I have somebody here that says, they make and sell bracelets. and they said it's very low scale. So I want to encourage them that it's not low scale because it's their business, right?
Right.
So you have to look at it like that. But they said they think it could turn into something bigger. They have a nice customer base just off of word of mouth. And they just joined this webinar to see if it could turn into something more, right? Can you
Yes.
share a story with us about maybe someone that you've worked with that kind of started out in that type of space? It was just something they were really going to do as, we'll say, a hobby. And then it turned into something they said, no, what, I might want to run with this and consider it full time.
One that comes to mind, actually I have two, but one that comes to mind is a company called Norda. It's the word adorn backward. And, you know, it started small. She liked to put stones on eyewear and create these funky glasses. And that company today has grown by leaps and bounds.
I'm sorry, what's the name of it again?
It's adorn backward. It's called Norda.
Sorry, I'm just looking through some of the other information here.
Sure.
Yeah, we're getting questions like crazy.
I love it.
Beautiful. Yeah,
keep them coming.
All right. Let me see here. All right. So as people want to, have you worked with nonprofits? They want to know if you've worked with nonprofits, and do you have any suggestions for people that are interested in running a nonprofit? Because they would imagine that it sets up a little different than a regular entity.
Business is business, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit, right? So if you think that you either want to bake cupcakes and sell a few a month, or you want to be hostess cupcakes. You want to have a nonprofit, a little nonprofit, or you want to be the Susan G. Komen of the nonprofit world that you want to go into. You have to take the same business approach. Right? So yes, I've worked with nonprofits. In fact, I'm in alignment with a nonprofit. I'm kind of the consultant in-house for a nonprofit here in Harlem. As long as you take the same approach, you should be successful. The only the same, and the money raise is just as difficult. The same that we talked about earlier in putting those buckets of money together to invest into a for-profit business. On the nonprofit side, you need to pitch to have people donate money and support your nonprofit. So whether that's just individuals or corporations, you are relying on someone else's money.
All right, G, listen, we're going to wrap up here, but please let everyone know again how they should get in touch with Gina Ramcharan and the whole idea manufacturer movement.
So again, hit me up on the website in the contacts, or DM me on social media. Idea Manufacturer on Instagram, Idea Manufacturer on Facebook, and Idea MFR on Twitter. I can't wait to hear from you guys. I'm excited. I'm pumped up today. Yeah,
we got a lot of people that are looking to kind of venture out in here to the area of entrepreneurship. I want to say I appreciate you for just being with us today. And I want to say that to the attendees as well. We had a great turnout today. Excellent questions. We understand what's going on in the world, and we're just so appreciative of everyone taking the time to share an hour with us this week in partnership with Gina Ramcharan and Idea Manufacturer. Listen, next week we have the next webinar. It'll be May 20th, but it's called Returning and Thriving. On this webinar, attendees will learn how to transition back to work after an extended leave from the office. And we will have Erica Broadwater. She is the president of the National Association of African Americans and Human Resources. So we're excited to have Erica on the platform. We're excited to do Returning and Thriving, and that'll be May 20th. You'll be seeing information come out soon about that. On behalf of the National Urban League staff, Wanda Jackson, Theveline Felix, and the team there, we'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. We did it again. G, thank you so very much.
My pleasure.
UL Jobs Network. We'll be back May 20th. I appreciate you all. Thank you.